Welcome to Galactic Grandmother, Heart to Heart. My name is April, and my special guest today is Michael Lee Hill. Michael is a musician, he's a filmmaker, he's an author of a really good book that I just finished called The Stellar Pathway. I recommend it, and he has had some very interesting experiences since he filmed some UFOs over Lake Erie. He really got a lot of exposure from posting that footage online, and I can't wait to find out all about it. And also, he has been in contact with the Anunnaki, who have given him a lot of information which has been verified really by First Nations. I believe it's the Iroquois. And that's how he got his spiritual name of Rainbow Warrior Eagle. So thank you so much, Michael, for coming on to talk with us today.
That's a pretty cool name, ain't it?
It is.
Man, I up until 2008, I had no clue on my heritage. I was adopted, so there was no way for me to tell. People were like, "Dude, you're Italian. Look at you." I'm like, "Well, maybe. I don't know." But yeah, almost pure blood, Iroquois. On my mother's side, Seneca, but then on my father's side, it's Erie Montauk. And people are like, you don't really look native, but the Nephilim intermingled into the Native American Indian tribes, the ones of giant stature and the giants that were buried under these mounds. So it's been, right when I found out of my heritage, I started to look into it. I'm like, wow, these chiefs and grandmothers have had contact with star beings for a very long time. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great to be able to meet them and be able to talk with them? And then I'm thinking, well, how the heck is that ever going to happen? I'm like an instant Indian in my mind. But sure enough, I was brought in to speak at a Angels and Aliens conference in Columbus, and Chief Golden Light Eagle was the keynote speaker, and that's when I met. He started the Star Knowledge movement, and he brought me in as the official mound builder, representative, ambassador. And next thing I knew, I was with all the elders and the grandmothers, and I was like, "Wow, how this happened?" But it's been a trip.
And for the audience, we just have to say light is bothering your eyes, so that's why we're seeing your hat instead of your eyes so much today.
Yeah, I because of being attacked in the past, it was the Men in Black, and they hit me with brass knuckles. And they shattered my face. I had to have my face wired back together. That caused some ramifications recently where my retina's detached. And so the doctor was like, you're going to have to get a really good hat to shield your eyes and wear sunglasses. At least I'm not wearing sunglasses right now. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, like I said, I'm kind of shy and bashful. And it's like, God's like, nope, you got to wear your Leonard Skinner hat and sunglasses while you're indoors forevermore. Like, great. I know what that looks like. But anyhow,
Well, at least you have a
when he told me
cool
to wear
hat.
a hat, though, man, I've never been a hat wearer. I'm I dig cowboy hats, but there's not my thing. But when they told me I had to get a hat, I tracked down a real honest to God Leonard Skinner, Ronnie Van Zant hat. That's a real snakeskin band.
I
Funny, I
can
didn't even
tell.
know that's what it was until I bought it, but it is what it is.
I had lived in the desert for almost 20 years. I know that's a rattlesnake hat. I mean, skin.
Mm.
Let's get back to your story now. When you went to do some footage over Lake Erie, was that just a normal night, or did you have some kind of intuition telling you to go out there?
Well, that's a great question. I live very close to Lake Erie, and how it all started for me was I'm a musician, and we're having band practice in my living room, and me and the bass player decided to go out back and just take a break. And when we were out there, we both seen a craft that was very close to the shore of Lake Erie, and that's what sparked my curiosity to see if I could try to capture it on film and finding parks along the lake that I could go and set up around sunset and just hang out. And if a big ball of light flew by, I was ready to film it. Yeah, the next thing I knew, they just kept getting closer and closer and letting me film them. And then my footage went viral, and the rest is history, as they say.
Now, is that when you were contacted by some government agencies to get tested and so forth, or was that after you went on the other TV programs?
No, that was a little mixture of everything. Actually, because of my footage going viral, two things happened. One thing is I was contacted by the History Channel they wanted to look into, my viral footage, and they're the ones that found out that they had, I'm sorry, this gets a little weird. They were interviewing another contactee. His name was Terrell Copeland, and they had found out that he has the exact same blood anomaly that I do. Well, at that point, they didn't know. They just knew that this guy filmed the same objects, had the same spiritual message given to him, which is, belief, which is thoughts, feelings, and emotions create our physical reality. And they thought, wouldn't it be weird if this guy and him, since we live 500 miles apart and never met, they thought, wouldn't it be weird if I had the same blood anomaly that he was found to have, because he was being shipped off to another country. And because of a very thorough blood work, they found this blood anomaly. And so right after that aired on the History Channel, two things happened. One, I was contacted by the Anunnaki themselves. I'm talking physical, face to face.
It,
And they said, we were once known in your past as the Anunnaki. They said, you in your past was once known as Ea Enki, the water bearer. Well, if you don't know what the Anunnaki are, that sure as heck doesn't make any sense. I was like, water bearer, huh? It's like, to me, that's like someone coming up to you and telling you you're the Easter bunny. It's like,
well,
well, that's interesting, but I have no idea what that means. So have a good one. That's
can,
how it all started. That's why my blood was checked. That was by the History Channel. Then right after that, I was met at a festival by the Anunnaki themselves, telling me they wanted to talk about this blood anomaly that was revealed on the History Channel. And they said it was an indicator that truly I am of their hybrid bloodline. And sure enough, who knows all of this is the Native American First Nations. Isn't that interesting?
you were given information, though, about the Nephilim, their journey from out of Atlantis, correct?
Yes.
And can you tell us about that?
Yeah, a lot of this information came from grandmother Morningstar, and also, just my own research and being thrown in the deep end. It said out of Atlantis actually had three breakups. One was about 50,000 years ago, and some of the Atlanteans went to the right. It became like the Basque people and some other places. But then 27,000 years ago was the biblical flood event, the deluge. And then 10,500 years ago was a comet impact that took out Atlantis. The captain stayed behind with the sinking ships, so to speak. So that group of the Atlantean remnants
Uh-huh.
did not go to the left until the 10,500 year event. And for the first time, they went to the left and they came up into the bottom of the North American First Nation, or the North American continent, first intermingling into the Mayans. And wherever our culture went, whenever we met indigenous cultures, we would teach them in things that they would understand.
Mhm.
And uh, for the Mayans, that was stone. We taught them, calendar, astronomy, sacred geometry, uh, all in stone and pyramid building. But then when flesh and blood sacrifice ceremonies crept in, the elders were like, well, they've learned something, but obviously not enough. Get the hell out of Dodge. And they left the Mayan culture and went right across the Gulf there and entered Crystal River, Florida. They set up an establishment there, which the first Mayan step pyramid ever was found in Crystal River, Florida, recently. And so that was home base for a while, where when the Nephilim entered North America. But eventually we exited the top left-hand side of Florida, entering the interior of North America, pretty much becoming the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota tribes. But as you'll find out, like on the most right migration path, that goes all the way up from Florida up through the interior of North America and up around Canada. So that migration route has the Cherokee and the Iroquois, my people, and the Huron tribe. But at least 3% today's science knows is our bloodline. It could be much higher, but many Native American First Nation individuals have not had their blood work done. It's that simple. But at least 3% of us have. It's called haplogroup X2A. That's HAPLO group X2A. If someone wants to Google that, you'll find out this is the key to actually studying where the bloodline came from. And right now, in current day, you can find up to 3% of the Native American Indians, mostly the Iroquois, have this bloodline. The Sioux, the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota,
Mhm.
have fewer numbers, but they've retained their star knowledge the best out of any of the tribes. Well, I think that answers the question.
That's great. I was scribbling notes as you were telling me about that, or us about that. Being Native American myself, I find it super interesting. Now, do you have a certain blood type, like O negative, or?
It's actually a little weirder than that. It's called RH null. You know how like
Oh,
blood has antigens?
yeah.
My blood has no antigens whatsoever. Null. That's what, because even type O has antigens. So this weirded me out. There's only 43 known people on this planet that have my blood type. I'm like, how the heck can that be? Because wouldn't that be the most, mind my language, but the most incestuous bloodline on the planet? They said no, that's because it wasn't created on this planet.
Oh,
So RH null, Null.
cool.
Uh,
Yeah.
a lot of this that weirds me out a little bit because being shy and really not wanting to stand out. The Anunnaki told me once you start to get your memory back, do not let this bring in ideas of hierarchy. And I'll never forget this. They said the acorn is no less significant than the giant oak it'll one day become in Creator's eyes. And I got it then. I'm like, a seventh grader doesn't go back to a fifth grader and go, nah, 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 I'm higher grade than you. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
uh, these are all cycles we all go through. We've all been a young soul here on this planet and choosing idiotic behavior. And then sooner or later, hopefully, we learn to weed the fear and doubt and nonsense out of our own belief systems because no one else can do it for you. It's you got to take care of your own business yourself. And you find out, man, it's all illusionary, giving your energy away to illusionary outside sources. And you got to learn better.
Right.
Not you, but the
Oh,
proverbial
oh no,
you.
that's fine. Now, you, besides being in contact now with the Anunnaki, your own star family, you've been in contact with the Galactic Federation, and you've learned a lot about humanity's evolution and the coming cosmic shifts. Could you enlighten us about what we might expect in the coming years?
Well, the big part of this, because of my work with the reverse engineering division,
Uh-huh.
my first work with them pretty much ended in 2013, but it's been ongoing. But the point of this is I just got a brand new briefing. I said, Michael, the work you did with us is going to be needed again. And they said because what was underneath the pyramids in Giza would be revealed to the world in the very near future. And that was my sign that it's time to get back to work. And are you familiar with, for real, what they just said they found underneath the pyramids in Giza?
Yeah, they haven't disclosed what they think it is, but these huge, huge pilings with the coils wrapping around, correct?
Yes, exactly. And what I'm finding out is not only are they underneath the pyramids in Giza, they're underneath all the sacred sites, whether it's Angkor Wat or Sedona or Pine Gap in Australia. And but the leader of that project, his name was A.R. Borden. He said,
Yeah.
Michael, you know what's underneath you in that Northeast Ohio area. And first of all, he said the mound sites in this area would be proof the Anunnaki were here long ago. So that's all coming to light. But he said, you know what's underneath you in that area? And I said, no, not really. What is it? And he said, it's the world's oldest underground base. He said it'd be more accurate to think of it as underground cities. And he said, the oldest and the biggest is under my feet right here in Northeast Ohio. He said it was really because of the salt deposits that are under the Great Lakes, that salt is crystal. So this area is truly on one massive crystal because of the salt deposits. And that creates a perfect atmosphere for a planetary chakra. By the way, that's what they said because even though it's been revealed to the world what lies underneath the pyramids in Giza,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's well, why? Yeah. Well, are you familiar with? I believe it's called the Seven Fires Prophecy, and it gets into, I believe, it was the Hopi and the Ant people.
I know about the ant people rescued the Hopi twice and took them underground
Yes,
before
exactly.
cataclysms, right?
Yes, yes. I think that's what's happening is these underground sanctuaries will be open for public. No one's going to force anyone to go. If you're not comfortable going aboard a mothership or going underground for safekeep while the surface does its thing, no one's going to force you. I wouldn't suggest it. It's like we've only had like what, a 9.6. People don't even know like the Richter scale. Like 9.5 to 9.6 isn't just a little increase, it's double the intensity. So can you imagine Richter scale like 14 earthquakes?
Oh
It's
my gosh, no.
it's not survivable on the surface.
So you're saying
Okay.
that coming up between now and you had mentioned 2036, the planet Earth is going to be going through a lot of changes.
Well, the big one is in 2029, what they found underneath the pyramids will be revealed to the world, and that is a planetary chakra, or you could think of it as a stargate. And I was told that when the ACIO, which is the remote viewers and the reverse engineering division of the NSA, when one of their remote viewers was looking into an ancient artifact, it began to speak to her telepathically, and it led her to a secret entrance that took them down below what's the pyramids in Giza, what's down there. And they said it shocked them because what it was a very large planetary chakra. So imagine a chakra that's about the size of a really big hot air balloon.
Wow.
And it really frightened the team members because they said, first of all, it was apparent this isn't technology. They said it looked like a little miniature supernova or a sun just sitting there levitating, humming away. They could see flames licking off of it. But the closer they got to it, and some of the team members really started to look into it, they found out that whoever of the team came in contact with this object started to experience rapid evolution of their own consciousness, saying that they had problems that they had been working on for years. Over the next couple nights in the dream state, they would be given the answers. They
Wow.
would start putting pieces together. So that really freaked out the powers that were, because they thought, wait a minute, whatever this is has the ability to change reality. It was changing the reality of those people. So, as the story goes, the head of this program, which was A.R. Borden, decided, well, can we contact the intelligence behind the phenomenon? And they said they did break through using the remote viewers and meditation and techniques. And these extraterrestrials behind the phenomenon introduced themselves as the guardians.
Oh, yeah.
And yep, right. And they said they wanted A.R. Borden to create a beta team of 7 members, which I was chosen to be one of the 7, that all of us would be granted access to the Eye of Horus technology. And they wanted to see what we would do with it, with this gift. And they told them to create the ACIO and wait for the team to arrive, build it and they will come. So what they told me was all of these underground sanctuary cities, there's no on-off switch. You have to know specific frequencies and be able to chant them with musical intelligence accurately, which means, well, I'll sing them for you. It's la na na la na na. That's YHYW. People think Yahweh is YHWH. It's not. Those two, the first and third, they're actually indicators of, you can see it's the exact same character and they denote a frequency. So, yeah, you got to be able to, they're known as the Yahweh frequencies. But by the way, man, I'm not Christian in any way
Uh-huh.
normal, but I'm finding out the name Yahweh was not ever a name, it was a title. It's the tones of creation that one has to know and has to be able to chant. And when Chief Golden Light Eagle was known as Chief Yahweh in the past. And I approached him. I said, Chief, I now know your name is not a name at all. It's the person that holds the tones of creation. And I sang him the tones. He said, yes, Michael. He said, that's the tones that all of our ancient songs, when we begin singing to create medicine within water, all of our songs start with those frequencies. But then, just so you know, I'm just rambling on here. You can move that to hit all the different chakras, like la na na la na na. Each one you can move it to hit that energy center of a specific. These are things that mankind doesn't really know right now. I think people are like, what are you Nephilim here for? Is help mankind become rainbow. Grandmother Morningstar said rainbow doesn't mean to them what it means to the rest of the world. And that is when the chakras are clean and balanced and spinning unencumbered by lower vibrational thought forms, only then do they emit light. And they emit the colors of the rainbow, from red in the root to purple in the crown. So to those individuals that have weeded all the fear and doubt and nonsense out of their own chakra centers, they said to those Native American elders that have the gift of sight, that she said, Michael, you have become the whirling rainbow we've been waiting for. And I like this because, to become rainbow, everyone's got to have a different walk in life. Some people might need throat work, to be able to speak their truth and stop worrying about what others think of them. Others might need root chakra help, that they're having problems with abundance or keeping a roof over their head. So, what I'm saying is, there's no fixed way to become rainbow. Everyone can become rainbow, but it's a custom tailored suitcase, for those individuals. It's no set one way. It doesn't matter what religion you are, it doesn't matter what sex you are.
It's it's a matter of embodying your own consciousness because we're all unique aspects. I'm wondering, as a musician, have you ever recorded the tones that you're speaking about?
Yes, people can go to YouTube and type in either Morning Star, which actually has vocals, and the Morning Star does not mean, people think it means Venus, and that's part of it, but you need to understand the mythology of Venus is the last celestial object in the sky that brings the morning. It brings the morning light. So imagine, the precessional cycle, this grand cycle of 25,920 years. At the end of that cycle, it's all interconnected, if that makes any sense.
So if we went to YouTube and we searched Morning Star, we would
Yes.
look and we would find pre
Actually, this is an actual song. I've learned to tune my guitar. What all it is, say you got a piano, that middle A note, it should equal 432 hertz. It's that simple. And then all the other notes will be tuned accordingly to that 432 A note in the middle. But also, your listeners can go to YouTube and type in Michael Lee Hill Stellar Pathway, and you'll find I've created a sound bath, which is nothing but that frequency. And
oh,
that's a little weird, man. I've written a lot of songs in my life, but all songs have, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. For the most part, that's the structure of songwriting. To write a whole song that's just, you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like one long droning note. I'm like, well, how the hell am I going to make this interesting? But me and my musical compadre added tribal drumming and a Vedic, he calls it hippie chanting. But Vedic female singers
right.
that which that was a little odd because they break up the musical scale into smaller slices than we do in the Western culture. So to me, to try to mimic what she was doing with her voice on guitar was daunting. But that one's a great tune just to put on some headphones and you'll get inundated in nothing but the 432 frequency. The other tune Morning Star, is an actual song with lyrics and everything that is written in that tuning standard. But it's yeah, check them both out.
Definitely. I plan to. I have so many notes after reading your book, The Stellar Pathway, and you had a confirmation of this 432 in a crop circle, correct?
Yeah, over and over and over again. What you find out is there's a new science called cymatics, which is the science of making the invisible visible. It's the science of making frequency visible. Some people might know of, like, they're called cladme plates. There's a big round piece of like metal, and they'd put sand on it, and then they'd take a big bow and get it to sound. But when the sound vibrates the metal plate, you can see the sand dance and take on geometry. Well, that is now evolved to the place of they use a vat of water and then they can pump frequencies through it. And you can visualize with Mother Nature what that frequency looks like. And what they're finding out is very specific frequencies create very specific geometry. This is important because once you understand sacred geometry forms everything that we know of as physical reality out of light and sound, well, then it probably becomes pretty important to know what frequencies create perfect sacred geometry. Well, it just so happens that a 432 base frequency, 4 octaves below it, which is precisely 27 hertz, if you put that through a cymatic device, it creates a seven-pointed star exactly and precisely. So that's how the seven-pointed star is forever intertwined into the 432 cosmic harmonious frequency bed of information, like forevermore. So when the crop circles are encoding seven-pointed stars, it's actually a different gift wrapping, but the one that really started off everything was in 2011, when I had met the Anunnaki. As you recall, I said, well, prove it. When they said you were once known as Ea Enki, the water bearer, I'm like, listen, that makes no sense to me. If you are who you say you are, and I am who you say I am, encode the name Ea Enki into a crop circle. It took a year or so. That was in 2009, and it showed up in 2011. So that 2 years I took studying cymatics and started to understand the seven-pointed stars relationship to cosmic harmonious frequencies. That's when they started embedding the seven-pointed star within crop circles. All along, I'm jumping around here, but if you look into the latitude line of actual planet Earth that goes through Avebury and goes through Stonehenge, it's 51.428. So why this is important is if you take 360 and divide it by 7, which is the blueprint for a seven-pointed star, it's precisely 51.428. Well, look at the latitude line of planet Earth. It's 51.428 that goes through Stonehenge. What I'm telling you is that is the most energetic ley line or dragon line or line of electromagnetic energy that crisscrosses this planet is 51.428. That is really interesting because it goes through Canada, that latitude line, but it goes through wilderness areas. I'm finding out about all these Native American First Nation ancient sites that dot the 51.428 latitude line through England. But now knowing it also goes right through all those ancient sites in the UK, what the Anunnaki told me is when we're ready, there's a story waiting to be told. And all we have to do is go to those ancient Templar temples along that 51.428 latitude line and pay attention to the art, pay attention to the story. And I can tell you one thing has nothing to do with Michael defeating the serpent. The serpent clan was Michael's, and maybe bringing balance to the force, kind of like Luke Skywalker, right? Or Anakin.
There's a lot of math in your book, which is all of this 51.428 and the 432, the sacred geometry, and how it relates to things around planet Earth.
Yes, it's a lot, isn't it?
A lot to be discovered in your book for sure. Now, can we go back? I have a tie to Telos and Mount Shasta. So I've always been fascinated with the interdimensionals that have lived within Earth's crust. And you're talking about the underground cities that were under Giza, correct?
Yes.
And who is living there now?
From what I understand, they're vacant. They again, these locations, and once you find first the main site, once it's activated, it activates all sites. And there's no ignition switch or key. You got to know the Yahweh frequencies. You got to be able to chant them with proper intonation. So, like I said, I found out the underground structures in Northeast Ohio are actually larger than what's under the Giza pyramids. The largest planetary chakra is under my feet right here. And Nikolai Tesla did work in Cleveland. No one really knows this right now, but he was working with Westinghouse, and Westinghouse got the gig to put in a power system, what was called Terminal Tower. And so that was tied into this area's ley line that runs right along the shore of Lake Erie. And so it's been activated. So, according to the Anunnaki, once the main site was activated, all of them should be on right now, and the lights are on. So, time will tell, right?
So, what happens then when we start having these, or just prior to Earth changes, people will naturally find their way to these underground sanctuaries?
Yeah, it'll be all revealed, but man, there's another subject, and I'm almost fearful of talking about it because remember in the Matrix when she goes, "Be careful when you turn around, don't knock over that cookie jar," and he turns around and knocks it off, and he goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry." She goes, "What's really going to toast your noodle is would that have happened if I didn't say anything?" So, are you familiar with Comet Apophis?
I don't think so.
Uh,
Comet? See,
Apophis.
no,
What you're going to find is, you know how Comet Atlas just came through?
right.
It's another object similar to that, but this is not a comet, even though they're calling it a comet.
Uh-huh.
It is, first of all, I'm a little fearful of this. And I know not to be because it's a three-way timeline split. The worst is a do-over for those not ready. The other, Robert Plant said there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. I look at that as like a V. And when you're at the bottom of the V, these two paths are as close as they will ever be. They're
Mhm.
right on top of one another. So right now you can see the new reality starting to form, but you can also see the old reality falling away. It's the great equalizer because in 2029, Comet Apophis flies by underneath Earth's satellite systems, underneath the moon, between the moon and the Earth.
Ooh.
There ain't going to be any question. They said it'll appear to be a very bright planet like object crossing our night sky, but that's in 2029. That's when everything gets revealed. That's when we can use this Eye of Horus technology to create the biggest Mandela effect ever seen. And that is to take mankind into a positive timeline for this. And we got the 7 years of tribulation, 2029 to 2036. 2029, Comet Apophis arrives. We will have the best satellite photography, earthbound photography of this object than you can even imagine. But it's going to travel then into deep outer space, and mankind will get a collective sigh of relief. But then guess what? It returns in, I don't know, 2032, we'll call it, because it's now trapped in Earth's gravity and it'll orbit between 2029 and 2036. It will orbit a few more times, each time with a decaying orbit. So it's going to be closer and closer. In 2036, the powers that be are expecting impact. But Chief Yahweh said there's a middle path, and that is the moon has said that she will take the strike for us. Still horrific, but survivable. And he said, look into the movie, The Time Machine. Remember where he goes into the future and mankind has been taken over by an oligarchy, like these really evil manifest destiny, believing doctrine of discovery type thinking people. And when they pan up into the sky, the moon is cracked in three places. He said it's already in the Akash. The third timeline split is none of the above for those people that move into that reality, and it becomes the Anunnaki will grab it as it enters Earth's gravity with their anti-gravity technology and slowly release it into orbit, becoming Earth's new moon, which will get rid of all these weird weather systems we're having and the hurricanes and weather systems will be totally balanced. So those are the three. One, do-over for those that are not ready, that still harbor a lot of lower vibrational thinking. Path, moon takes the strike, still not a good situation. Third, none of the above. The new moon is being flown in just like the old one was.
Is it a comet or a ship?
Uh, Comet,
Okay.
but I'm not saying that some of these comets have not been repurposed.
So when the comet comes in closer, doing these few orbits closer between the moon and the Earth, is that going to cause some of these Earth changes, like the earthquake?
It's unknown because I don't know if it's big enough. The Comet Apophis is about the size of a large football stadium. Whether it's big enough to change Earth systems, I guess time will tell. Because I'll tell you what, man, again, don't let this put you into fear
Right.
because, I've been drip feeding. I don't like to talk about it much. And so, well, I'm careful to drop little seeds so in the future, when all this is all over the news, and go, look, I told you this would be happening. There
Mhm.
is a different, what else is available? See, what I found out when life brings you trial or tribulation, I've gained the knowledge to say, okay, thank you for telling me what I still have fear around. What else is available? You see, the asking yourself else is available will free you from, if you don't ask what else is available, you will manifest from the mass unconsciousness. No, there's no way around it. You're either manifesting consciously or unconsciously. An unconscious manifestation always stems from the mass consciousness, which is filled with a lot of fear and doubt and nonsense right now. The only way out of that loop is to look it in the eye when trial and tribulation comes your way and then say, okay, I get it. Now what else is available? The now what else is available can free you. Now, I don't want to talk badly about the mass human unconsciousness. If those first thought forms are filled with peace, love, and good happiness stuff, by all means, run with it. But if it's fear based, if it's telling you, why is this happening again? Why me? Oh my goodness, poor me. I can guarantee you it's because there's energy that has not been transmuted. The Anunnaki understand that thoughts have an electromagnetic reality or energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed, it needs to be transmuted. So, how does one transmute a lower vibrational negative thought form? Well, you live it. That's what no one talks about. Well, it'll come back up into your consciousness really for you to choose something different. It wouldn't keep recirculating through
Mhm.
your life, usually with greater intensity if you had already transmuted. And fear wears so many masks: fear of speaking your mind, fear of what others will think of you, fear of keeping up with the Joneses. You know, fear wears many masks, and it's hard to get to the bottom. And but we all have to do that. That's what becoming rainbow is all about.
Definitely.
Choose love, right? It
Right.
really does come down to it. It's so cliche, but I truly believe us as humans, you only have two emotions, fear or love. And choose wisely because whatever you choose, your reality will bend and fold itself into, let's just say, your prejudice. And then you go out and you get mugged by whoever you're prejudiced about. You go, see, I'm right. You're not right. You're just experiencing your own mental energy
Right.
reflected back by a loving universe. Choose higher.
Are we making a decision out of fear or are we choosing out of
It's
love, so to speak?
it's so upside down, isn't it? It's like if you truly understand these ideals, you never lock your doors. You'll never like I was told you get what you expect. There is no other main rule. If you look into your reality expecting the worst, it will present itself to you in that fashion, and you'll think you're right. And you're not right. You're just experiencing your own mental energy.
It comes back to us creating the energy, the actual sacred geometry of our own energy fields, right?
Yes, indeed. I can tell you for myself personally, is the way I recharge my batteries is I take a break from Facebook, definitely take a break from the news and go watch the sunset or go to a park and hug a tree. I know it's cliche, but getting out into nature is where I find peace and solace and I can recharge my batteries. It definitely ain't from watching the news.
No. Well, Mother Nature's electromagnetic field is pure love and pure healing energy. So
Yes.
that's why the actual research shows 20 minutes outside, feet on the ground or leaning against a tree completely harmonizes your energy field.
Yeah. You know what? I've not even revealed to the world, but you know what else brings the whole human energy field back into homeostasis?
I'm waiting to hear. Pen in hand, I'm going to take notes.
Let me show you. Boy, that's hard to see, ain't it?
What is it made out of? Well,
Quartz crystal.
it's
Maybe
the,
this won't be there. What happens is I have all the science to prove this. It's called a GDV machine, which is electrophotography. Have you ever heard of Kirlian
yes,
photography, where you can
yes.
see?
Hmm.
It's like that, but they can see the energy within water. Well, what shockingly is my friend has a machine that checks out the whole human body's subtle energy field. And at conferences, he charges people for a reading and you can have your energy scanned. He said, dude, let's see what your disc is doing. And he said, well, you can't walk over with it. That would negate the test. He said, and I want you to take off the necklace. I don't want anything in your field of what this is doing. He said, we'll check it out at the end of the day. So I did. He took over a disc himself. And then I went through some health issues and I had taken a really bad fall and my shoulder was messed up. And everywhere that my energy was out of homeostasis, it'd show up as a dark cloud. But when he got me hooked up to the diodes and everything, he hits image and there's like 7 dark clouds around my body. And he said, okay, hold out your hand. And I held out my hand. He puts the disc in my hand. I put it on top of the hand that was on the diodes. So what that took what a second. He hits image again. Every single energy field within my body that surrounds all of my organs instantly was brought into homeostasis. It didn't take. There was no meditation. There was no nothing. Just by holding it. So I tell people this: when you're watching TV, just hold it in your hand. When you're listening to music, when you're going out, just have it become your buddy.
What about the pendant you're wearing? Does that have the same properties?
Yes. The mojo, I was taught how this gets a little weird, but I was taught how to do an ancient water blessing ceremony that would quantum entangle the attributes of Fountain of Youth water.
Hmm.
And I had to go to Florida for this. Said it had to be, there's all kinds of underground spring aquifers in Florida.
Yes,
It's all virgin water, if you want to look at it that way. Imagine, are you familiar with Dr. Emoto?
I certainly am.
Such a fan.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, imagine water that's never been introduced to human lower vibrational thought forms. It's the most energetic. So, what the chief told me was once I did this water blessing ceremony, anything that contains this image
Uh-huh.
uh, contains the mojo. It it's quantum entangled now with prana. with chi, with life force. And because of Beverly Rubik, she was okay. Let me back up. I got contacted by Richard C. Hoagland, which is NASA's science advisor.
Uh-huh.
And he said, Michael, we know your story sounds batshit crazy to most other people, but NASA's been looking into how energy flows. He calls it hyperdimensionally. We would call it multidimensionally, I guess. He said, and your numbers and math and physics are right on the money. He said, I would like to arrange for one of the world's top biophysicists to look into your work, one of these.
Mhm.
So I did. I sent her, it's weird though. Just, I don't know what it is about us humans that, I had a month and a half of that down period. I had to like talk down that voice that's telling me, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Maybe they'll find nothing. And every time I come up with something, like when I won the Steve Vai Ibanez Guitar Challenge, they narrowed it down to the top 10. And this voice kept thinking, you think we brought you this far to only bring you this far? If you don't stop it with your self sabotage, it's going to manifest. So this was the same way. And what she said was, what they found is this brings a 400% increase of life force, of
Ooh.
prana or chi. And that's your energy. You do with it whatever you want to do with it. They know it'll revitalize municipal tap water. And no one's really asked the question, what's it mean to drink water that has higher dimensional energy in it? Yeah, so anything, here's a really interesting thing. When Chief Yahweh taught me how to do the water blessing ceremony, he
Mhm.
said, it's not bound by this space time continuum. Meaning, he said, once I did the water blessing ceremony, which I believe was in transmitting cosmic energy. So that's isn't
Yeah,
this one beautiful though? This
it
is the
is.
same ones, but this one is clear. I thought, why not make it over clear quartz crystal? And so it'd look more water-like.
It makes sense to me. I'm a quantum healer, and if you understand quantum mechanics, the whole idea of quantum entanglement, and that's why when we do the inner healing work, we're not only healing present and future, we're healing past. It's all interconnected.
Yes, indeed. It's all happening now, right?
Right. Your tech that went to the moon.
Yeah. How crazy is that, right?
Was that what you were just showing us that went to the moon?
Yes. What had happened was because of my work with the NASA group of people, they contacted me and said, we think you should be aware that SpaceX and Elon Musk is accepting submissions for their museum slash library of all human knowledge that's worth saving and taking it to the moon. It'll be there for the next 10 billion years. This is important because Beverly Rubik, the biophysicist, said that whatever's in the field, the energy grows exponentially. So now it's going to be on the moon for the next 10 billion years. That's a lot of time to be broadcasting down. And as you know from Dr. Emoto, once one droplet of water is restructured in our atmosphere to the most energetics water can even have, sooner or later it's going to fall as rain and it'll start entering the world's water systems and it'll start to restructure all of the world's. But here's the weird thing, man. When I met the Anunnaki, as I told you, they said you were once known as the water bearer.
Oh,
Well, that made no sense to me. Now I can look someone in the
yeah,
eye and go, I am the water bearer, you
yeah.
know.
I know
But
it's,
yeah, during it landed on the moon right before the last full totality eclipse. It just happened, what, a year and a half ago or so. Yeah, so it's up there right now, which is really weird because I can go and look at the moon and go, this is up there right now. It's not this, but what they did was take very high portion filled quartz crystal that was had a lot of white hole black holes in it, you could say. Very powerful quartz crystal. That's what SpaceX used quantum computing and nanotechnology to encode into this crystal, this museum. Imagine it has every album ever made by mankind, every album liner note, every piece of artwork is stored in there, and my work. But again, what was taken to the moon is quartz crystal, just like this is, but
Hmm.
it was put into very fancy, if that's the right word, quartz crystal and taken aboard the payload to put this museum slash library on the moon.
I
There's
love it.
actually two submissions. They wanted one submission that had nothing but the image,
Hmm.
no, nothing else.
You have so much information. You make it very understandable, and I would love to get you on again to
Oh,
pick your brain
anytime,
some more.
anytime. I really appreciate you buying the book, and I'm really proud of it. Can you imagine? Right when I started the book is when my retinas detached. So try proofreading a book with your retinas detached. It's not easy. But I got a dear friend, her name's Kathy. She's like, I'll proofread it for you. So probably the only person ever that's released a book. I haven't read it.
Oh, put up, and I want to know if there's a message that's important for you to tell us today.
I
No.
think the biggest thing ever is when trial and tribulation comes up into your physical reality, train yourself to say what else is available. Thank you. Now, what else is available? That will free you from running in the hamster wheel of manifestation from the mass unconsciousness. But then it comes to, well, what else is available is in an infinite amount of light to dark options. I heard it said there's no end to the bottom if you want to fall, but there's no high to the top if you start to climb. This gets into a weird thing, man, because everyone thinks free will is a thing. I don't believe in free will anymore. There's only one love filled, the most love filled outcome for everything and everyone involved in any situation. What does that have to do with free will? If there's only one proper, most love filled outcome for everything and everyone involved, there is no free will. The only free will we have as humans is to experience what is not Creator's divine will. It might not be that bad to take the long way home, but it just may be. So choose to us Native American Indians, you've heard the red road, right? The red road is the high road. It's the only clearing all the nonsense out. When you walk the red road, you walk in the light of choosing the highest love filled outcome for everything and everyone involved. And that's not easy for us humans to do because we want to grab the reins, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
steer the ship. It's almost like you got to let go of what you think is best. And as they say, let go and let God. So
Uh-huh.
that would be my thing. Train yourself. What else is available? When lower vibrational thinking, I've heard it called stinking thinking, enters the brain, man, choose something higher. And see, once you start to do this and you see your reality change, that's a truth that comes from within. No religions, no books needed, man. And once that comes from within, you'll really start to see what else you can weed out then.
Oh, thank you so much. You are a wise man, mister.
Uh,
I really appreciate you coming on. You take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye
all
bye.
righty, bye bye. Thank you for the opportunity.